Okay, we're about to kick off. Thank you very much again for joining everyone to the Founders Webinar from PageUp. My name is Carl Kimball. I'm the Vice President for Southeast Asia. I'd like to introduce our speakers today. We're very excited to have with us Cariss and Simon Cariss, the founders of PageUp. Karen is our current CEO and founder, and one of their driving key forces in the success of PageUp, and really sets our strategic direction for the company. Karen, for those of you who know Karen, her passion for the company is very evident in the way she runs the company and really drives our vision. Karen was also listed in BRW's top 50 of female entrepreneurs. So she's very well known now in the region, Southeast Asia, but of course across our business. Simon Cariss is also the co-founder and our CIO, and Simon also is driving the PageUp direction of product development. And for those of you who know Simon, he also demonstrates an enormous amount of passion around the solution and what we go to market with in delivering results to our customers and innovation. Well, I would like to welcome Karen, Simon.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Karen,
excited to be here.
Yeah, Karen, it's great. Listen, why don't you start off, if you wouldn't mind, sharing a little bit about what makes PageUp unique?
Sure, would love to. And so for me, what makes PageUp unique boils down to these four key points. And sure, as we work through today, you're going to see these four things come to light in a greater way. But just to sort of, I guess, summarize up front, one of our client values, one of our company values is Zing. And so, for us, Zing is about creating sparkle and wow into our systems and into our business. And as such, we are absolutely recognized as being a leading innovator. And we're often one of the first to market to do certain things in our product or in our organization. And that's both in terms of our technology and in terms of our investment in our thought leadership research. So, for instance, we've done extensive thought leadership around neuroscience. We've done extensive thought leadership across emerging markets. And all of this gets fed into then how to create technology that people love to use, because that's what we're excited about. And we also love to build that innovation into our system. And our system, to go to the second point, is one platform. So it is one cloud application. That means our customers experience one journey when they go in there. It doesn't matter whether they're doing a learning development activity, whether they are capturing information for their everyday performance conversations, or whether they are recruiting the latest talent into their business. It's all the one application, all of the one interface, which gives our clients a great experience from both usability, but also it means our R&D money is not spent on integrating disparate systems. Our R&D money is really purely spent on innovating software, software that's focused on helping our clients and creating that seamless experience across our technology that's the software that people love to use. So going to the third point of difference, that is that we're the only global provider that's really focused on building technology for a VUCA environment. Now, VUCA might not be a word that the whole audience is familiar with, so let me just take a moment to share what that means. It's actually come originally from the US military, and it's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And whether you're in a high growth market or or a developed market, I think one thing that we can all relate to is that we are all in a world where ambiguity, complexity, regular change, uncertainty, volatility are all a part of our world. And so that is why Simon and I chose to relocate over to be closer to the high growth markets of Asia, so we could really understand, what does that mean? What does that mean for businesses that we're working with? And how can we evolve our technology and our services in order to support businesses that are now operating in these environments? And I think for anybody that does work in a company that operates across a high growth market, you'll know that things are significantly different in those markets. For instance, take mobile phones. They're not a nice to have. In some environments, it's the only way that people are connected to technology, to the internet. And so having a system that is that runs across a mobile, the whole platform, becomes paramount for that environment. Otherwise, you cannot connect with your employees. Time is also much different, and the way that people interact is different. And all of this has to flow through into the way that you design software. And so that brings me to the fourth point, which is another one of our 5 company values, is our clients. Our clients are the center of our universe. So we're really focused on delivering measurable return on investment to our clients. I personally measure our company's success by the success that we see our clients having. So, understanding what they're looking to achieve in their business and working alongside them to help them achieve that, help them transform their business and have a competitive advantage by having great people management platform in place, is something that we're incredibly passionate about. So you'll hear more of that as we move forward.
Okay, Karen, I think that's really a good snapshot. And if I can just sort of recap, so the 4 points really in innovation and what PageUp is doing in terms of our software, adding what you're calling zing or fun into the software. Also, the platform being one experience or one code line or one journey, if you like. And then the high growth markets, where our focus seems to be accelerating now, and we're getting a lot of success in these growth markets, and also the culminating really for our clients, getting measurable ROI and real return on their investment. And I like this technology people love to use, because I'm a person who struggles at times with technology, as you know. But I love technology that I love to use, and I think that's a really great thing from our solution footprint. Now, what about, if you can, maybe sharing some thoughts on or trends of today and perhaps the world labor market?
Thanks, Carl. So what we're really seeing this, across as a macro trend, I guess, that the workforce around the world is shrinking. But in places, it's not shrinking. As an overall globe, it's shrinking. But in some countries, there's still a significant workforce there to tap into. Unfortunately, those tend to be our emerging markets, where education is lagging, infrastructure is lagging, and so you have a lot of people that are employable but not necessarily readily deployable in your organization. And so the role of developing and educating people from these markets is falling a lot more onto the shoulders of corporations to help fill that gap between what they're getting through their formal schooling structure and what we need them to have in order to operate in these complex environments that we operate in. In addition to that, we've got a lot of millennials now entering the workforce, and they've got high expectations. They've grown up in a world, we've got to realize, where everything's at their fingertip. Everything is fast. They want to know something, they can get that answer, and they can get it immediately through their mobile devices, through being connected to the internet. And so as a consequence, they also have the same expectations around their career, that their career advances fast and that they get lots of opportunities to be stretched and to develop and to be nurtured whilst being challenged. And so that creates a lot of complexities in terms of how we manage the workforce, because we've got this generation that's come in that thinks and behaves vastly differently to the generations we've been used to historically. And of course, mobile and social, and they've just, technology has transformed the way in which we do things. And you know, the way in which we used to do social, where, you know, we'd have to speak face to face to people and be in the same location or near to, as well and truly been thrown out the window. And you know, now you have conversations with people all around the world instantaneously. And you have social, whether that's conversations verbally or you know, through chat or social tools such as Facebook and the like, you know, where we're all connecting through these platforms, and it's the new norm. So, you know, indeed, in the markets here around Singapore, the percentage penetration of mobile phones is astronomical. So we'll go through a little bit more of that later. But a lot of people have just skipped right over the desktop and are using their mobile devices only as their way of connecting to the internet and connecting to work. So mobile-enabled technology is not a nice to have. It is absolutely a core of what needs to be offered to enable businesses to operate at the speed they need to operate at. Just to build on that a little bit more and dig into emerging markets and you know, what the relevance, I guess, of that is to us all around the world. If we just look at the emerging markets of Asia, we can see that by 2050, 45% of the world population will be there. But even more interesting stat, 52% of the global workforce. And so, you know, that's over half of the global workforce is going to be in the Asian markets by 2050. And we can see with 36% of the world GDP and 39% of global Fortune 500 companies, you know, we've got a significant amount of growing wealth and growth in the regions. So whether your business operates in the Asian emerging markets or not, understanding these markets will be paramount to having the best opportunity to tapping into the largest global talent pool in the world, and also for you to understand the competitive pool that might be alluring the talent out of your home base into these fast-paced environments. Because, you know, people are going to want to transition from, you know, wherever they are around the world to get access to some of this career growth, to get access to some of these challenges and fabulous development opportunities. And so you need to understand enough about these markets to understand whether you're operating in them or not, to understand how to have a talent environment that's attractive in your part of the world. And certainly if you're doing business over here, then getting this equation right is going to be a significant difference to your business's competitive advantage. One stat that I haven't talked about on here, the middle one, is specific to Southeast Asia region. There's one unique element that's specific to this region, and that is that almost 50% of the population here is under the age of 30. It makes it one of the most youthful populations in the world. And so that introduces new challenges, both in terms of the just sheer size of youth in this region and the opportunities that that presents to organisations to tap into, but also the gap in terms of their capability coming out of school and their readiness for a global workforce. So both opportunity and challenge in that one, but something that we absolutely feel very passionate about understanding, so we can help organisations globally navigate through this going forward.
Yes, you know, being one of the the 49% aged under 30. I'm fortunate to be in the emerging market. No, I'm not, but I wish I was. But I've been in this region a long time in the emerging markets. I've watched the development of the technology really coming into its own now, especially on the mobile side. So I think that we're very well placed in the emerging market space. And look, Karen, this is all I think there's very interesting trends and some statistics there that bear the point. But PageUp really is we develop technology solutions. So how do you see this as what does this have to do with the technology per se?
Well, I might hand over to Simon to answer that. I know he's incredibly passionate about our technology. He's got lots to share in this space.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Carl. Our technology platform has developed amazingly. I'm sure many of you on the line may not realize, but we actually built this system for ourselves to use internally in our own company when we first started. And then as it became apparent that lots of other companies would want this software, we've matured it out with the modules that we have today. And I could talk about all of these things that we're doing, but we'd be here for a week. So I just wanted to jump into a couple of really interesting ones. Whenever you get a piece of software, especially cloud software, one of the key things is that you can set it up right for your company. So it does what it needs to do and represents the problem that you're trying to solve today, which interestingly might be different than the problem you're trying to solve next week. And a lot of that comes down to this horrible word called configuration, setting the system up, building your performance review process, creating learning objects, building recruitment workflows. It's all about system configuration. And yeah, it's a really kind of yucky space, and we're working really hard at the moment to get rid of it. So what that means is that the system can just auto-magically be really simple to configure. And I know we have some amazing people, people like, say, Brooke, Jen, Patty, Anshel, Ashley, that do a lot of this configuration with our clients to get everything working amazingly. I know they're probably not listening to this because they'll be busy working. But we're striving to make this configuration really, really simple, intuitive, obvious. One of the guys, Brad, did a calculation of there's something like 4 trillion different ways, 4 trillion ways you can configure the PageUp system.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. So our vision when we're done is if you want a new talent management system, you just go to our website, sign up, go through a 3-step wizard and say you're government or you're a university or you're a retail or you're in mining or you're in healthcare or you're in finance, and it auto sets the system up. And then you can just continuously configure it on the fly with a mobile phone. So if you're a super user and a client, you can just walk around to your team, look at them engaging with the software, trying to do their day-to-day jobs, and if they need to adjust something, you just bring out your phone, make a few changes, follow some easy wizards, and off you go. And when we're done, as in done in the future, there won't need to be any configuration at all. We're just trying to try and make it as auto-magical as possible. So learning from the vast experience we have running this system across multiple different clients, adapting the configuration as automatically as possible. So that's our goal. And doing it in a way that once all that automatic stuff is happening, be it with your recruitment or your performance or your learning, there's really nothing left to do. It's just functioning beautifully in your environment, helping you solve your business problems, and leaving you just to do things like play games. So to that extent, we have actually, I think Levi from work put a little game into the app. And I don't know if any of you do use PageUp, but I'll bring it up quickly, or this recruiting module up quickly. And if you've got nothing better to do, you can double click on the logo, and up comes like a little Space Invaders thing that you can fly around and actually shoot the application and nuke all of your recruitment processes and jobs and statuses and things like that.
So if you're having a really bad day,
yeah,
that's what you do.
Yeah, it's kind of links to our vision of trying to make the software do all the boring, mundane, automated things, and leaving you to just solve business problems and not have to, spend time mucking around with software. So we're working really hard on this. That's 1,000 points, I think. I'm not sure what the record is, but it's quite a few 100,000 points you can get to.
Simon, can I put a picture of my boss on there?
Yeah. So, we really want to have fun with our software. We want to make it engaging. We want to make it easy to use. We're not done. We're never done. But it's a journey that we're working really hard on. And that, if you kind of zoom out from the detail of just our modules, a lot of our work at the moment is focusing on an ecosystem of connected components. We can't do everything. We can't solve all the problems. You in HR can't solve all. We need to use partners. We need to leverage the resources that are out there in the world, and doing that as easily as possible. So we're really working to incorporate as many different third-party applications into our ecosystem as possible. So they're just out of the box. So examples like video assessments and the video interviewing providers, that whole world is changing enormously, which is great. People wanting to do video interviews, and even Skype. Recently we added Skype click-to-call. So if you are using a lot of Skype for recruiting, which is not common in some markets, but others, like in South Africa, it's very common, you can just make a single Skype call from the application. Obviously assessments, job boards, looking into third-party learning libraries and how we can bring in some of this open source content into the application. Background checking providers, salary data, as many of these things as we can, so that PageUp is truly an ecosystem where we're doing all this hard work of connecting the third-party applications for you on your behalf and keeping them running. And all you have to do is plug PageUp in as one system and you get access to all of these third-party systems. And then you can use it as easily as possible wherever you want to use it, whenever you want to use it. So here in Singapore, a lot of this use of our software and all of these third-party components are often done on the move. It's amazing how much you can do on your mobile these days. Like even people listening to this webinar, I'm not sure how many people are on their mobile listening along, but it's not uncommon. I regularly dial into webinars and internal meetings, even video conferences, running into work. You can get a little sweaty sometimes and you have to mute if you're puffing a lot, but it actually works, and it works really, really well. And when we have video conferences, in the old days you'd spend all this money on internal gear, and now all you need is a phone. It's truly outstanding, and it's gathering pace just more and more rapidly. So every time there's new versions of phones coming out, new apps, new cloud services, it's just getting better and better and better. So mobile's where it's at, and with all these things, it's just set to get better and better and faster and faster.
Yeah, the ecosystem concept is, I like it. I mean, I'm from the old school where, technical people, CIOs, etc., would say to me, the connection of all these systems and third-party applications was always their pain. So I think we're heading into that dimension of that world now where it's getting easier and easier.
Mm.
And here's some statistics, some really mind-blowing statistics, really, in terms of mobile, where we're seeing, just such a significant uptake. And in this part of the world, most people have got 2 devices. So number of mobile subscriptions per population is typically well over 100%, and in some markets getting up to 200%. So it's incredible. And the one that astounds me is the 150 times being the average number of times a day people look at their mobile phone. I mean, if we're not putting things on mobile phones, we're clearly not getting the attention and eyeballs of our employees, where they're spending their time. So, and it's a absolutely fantastic way in which to be able to engage with your employees, get feedback that will help improve your business, to help give them just-in-time information for training and development, to help connect them with other people in the business. And we use platforms extensively, obviously in PageUp, including some of the social networks like Yammer, and post what we're doing on there, and any stuck points that we've got, and people around the world from different parts of our business just get on and answer that. It just speeds up our what we can do and how we can solve problems. And a lot of those posts are getting done from people on their mobile devices, and they're out in the field. The sales team hits a particular snag or gets a question from a client that they've not dealt with before, and they post the question and get a response within minutes from somebody that's sitting somewhere else, in a completely different time zone and region in the world. These statistics are not to be ignored, and if people can't engage with your business through their mobile devices, then it's really something that it needs to be a number one priority for your organization, so you can engage your workforce effectively.
Yeah, I see a lot of that, actually, maybe anecdotal, but in Asia, especially, people on the train or on the bus with a phone in each hand or a tablet on their lap. I mean, it's quite amazing. And these are the young ones. And I know, when I talk to people now about jobs, applying for jobs and what they do it through these devices. And they do it on the way in, to and from work. They don't even set time aside. They do it in their spare time, which is pretty amazing. A lot of what we talked about, Simon, I think is really about ways in which to support the business, and using mobile particularly, but going faster, getting a unified platform, if you like, connecting through ecosystems, and the mobility part, enabling people out of the box. Perhaps you want to maybe you can touch on the big technology component that makes really a lot of this possible. It's cloud.
Of course, yes, just a beautiful thing. Having one version of the software that we can just continuously improve. So again, when we started the business, even as early as the late 90s, we only had one version of the system running on the cloud. We never did deployment of the PageUp software. And we've been continuously keeping that one version up to date ever since then. When we started the business at uni, we actually only had one server to put everything on. So it was forced. Like, we had to go, how can we just put everything on this one machine, and keep everyone on we only have the ability to run one database and one version of everything. So let's just do it and continue to make that version better and better and better and better. The idea of having kind of an older version and people on the newer version would just have slowed us down, because we'd have to support the two. So we've been a real pure SaaS company since day one, and that process is now just accelerating. So we're getting things like quarterly deployments of our platform, and this year moving to monthly. So I'm sure those who use PageUp are familiar with the idea of, we have a rapid release version. We call it beta. This is a daily deployment, so you can get a copy of new features or new upgrade or a change every single day. And then at the end of the month, that rolls up into something that goes out to everybody. So the last couple of years we've been doing this quarterly, and this year we're doing it monthly. What our customers were telling us is that they wanted to remove that kind of gap between the early adopters and the rest of the user base. And even quarterly was too slow for some companies. They wanted to move faster. And so this all helps us. It helps us enormously make the software better. We know we've got a lot of things to do to continue to improve things. It puts us very close where we support the clients. So as a SaaS company, the software is one part of it, but the support is a huge part of it as well. So you can just call up. There's amazing people who, again, they'll definitely, Theo's team and co won't be listening to this because they'll be on the phone, no doubt. Can really get in there and help you maximize the use of the software and make it work really well for you, make changes on that versionless platform, which is really important. So, and that cloud system now, it's not just one cloud. A lot of the work we've been doing is on this problem of government legislation in terms of where the data sits. So we're now up to our 8th data center around the world. So in different countries, you can host the data locally to make sure you're compliant with different parts of legislation, which is incredibly important. And we have a big focus on security as part of our SaaS platform. So being ISO 27001 certified, we really have a lot of processes and procedures that sit around the cloud platform to make sure that, yes, we're innovating rapidly, we're doing some really cool stuff with the software, but we're doing it in a secure way that's supported, and we're continuously getting feedback from our clients. And we're getting huge amounts of feedback. I mean, we've set records recently with a change to the recruiting dashboard that it was amazing. A whole bunch of people thought it was the best thing they've ever seen, and a whole bunch of other people commented how much space there was and things didn't fit as well as they'd like. So we listen to each of those. It's like each bit of feedback we get is like a message, a letter sent to our hearts, where we have to look at it and read it and think about how to do our jobs better every day.
Yeah, Simon, the cloud, and for me and people my generation, I think there was always the thing around security and support and so on. I think, and I don't know, I put you on the spot a little here, but everybody, and especially in emerging markets, everybody talks about the regulatory difficulties, and I'm seeing the shift now where people are going into the cloud very rapidly. Do you see a time where, a very quick space of time when we will just all be on the cloud? Or do you think it's something that just needs to evolve and needs a bit of time?
Yeah, although the tipping point was reached really last year, where the pretty much any new system now with any organization, be it government or private sector, is really going cloud first. It's pretty mainstream now, so yeah.
Okay. Now we've come to the part where we will like to ask our folks listening to answer a poll question for us, and I think we've got some questions coming in. I urge you now, if you can, on the chat, please lodge questions while we have Simon and Karen's time. It's a great chance for you to speak to not only the Karen and or Simon, but the company, the solution, the trends, and the technology. I'm sure we have questions in all those areas. Our poll question for everybody is, when you think about HR technology in your organization, what is the key priority for you during the next 12 months? So we've got what we think and what we have found in our research around these key points of mobility and analytics, security, and or ease of use. But we'd like to get a poll from you. When you think about HR technology in your company today, what do you think is the key priority for you during the next 12 months? Now, if those 4 I mentioned aren't, well, you don't think those are the key, the number one key priority, go into the chat section there and just put in another topic, and it would be great for us to collate that right now, so we can then give you the results pretty much immediately.
Yeah. While you're polling, I'll jump into some of these questions. So one of them was, what is the languages supported? Interestingly, what we've done with our language platform is completely open it up. So you can basically create any language you need to. And a language forms two parts. It's obviously the character set and the words in the application: save, cancel, create a job, create a performance review. These we have in English, say UK and the US, Indonesian, Thai, simplified, complex Chinese characters, and a whole bunch of other languages. But the second part of our language strategy is to allow our customers to convert anything in the platform to be their business language. So you can override what you refer to as a business unit or a brand or a department and call it what you want to call it. So the applications become truly personal to your own organization. And I think that's the more interesting part of language versus just, getting a translator to translate the platform. You can really make it personal, and this is really important. So that it does extend through the UI, through mobile, through the rest of the parts of the platform. In terms of the hosting locations, we do have data centers here in Singapore, and we have Australia, the US, through Europe, and endpoints that allow us to deliver the application locally in pretty much any country throughout the world. So if you're using the system in Manila, when you open up a web browser and bring up the application, you directly route to servers in Manila as the first connection point through the system. So we can deliver it as quickly as possible to get the system running. And this extends through to the support locally within China. So we have got a mechanism now where our whole infrastructure can be set up through automated scripts. And this gives us an ability to deliver the system locally in China. And then through these daily deployments and customizations, or not customizations, but sort of the daily improvement of the platform, we can look to bring in interfaces with WeChat and different social media platforms in China. So it's something we think about a lot, and keeping up to date with what our customers are saying is really a huge part of what we're doing in the platform. I notice the poll results are coming in now. So ease of use and analytics have kind of won the day. Boo, don't you want security? Come on. Isn't it all about more locks and passwords, two-factor authentication? Interestingly, mobile's really low too. So I guess mobile's just a given. It's like, well, we really want to make the system easy to use is the priority. And I think, yes, that is about easy to use on a desktop or on a tablet or on a mobile, but that's a secondary consideration. Just make it work for me.
But I wonder in some of those organizations if they know mobile, it needs to be. Some of the statistics Karen raised about, the usage of mobile and things. I wonder if the companies really understand the importance of being having mobile. So maybe that might be reflected. But analytics, which is one of my loves, and ease of use. Of course, everyone likes the ease of use. So those are not surprising to me, but very interesting results.
Great. Yeah, we have a whole work stream working on analytics. James and Co.
Okay, listen, that's great. So that was a good poll. So to the team, that's good. Karen, what does the future hold? What's coming up for us? What's in store?
Great. Well, for me, this word sums it up in terms of the future. VUCA. So volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I can't emphasize this anymore. I mean, there's been massive changes in HR. We started this business back in 1997, and you could say evolution. You could say also just complete reinvention of how how we go about attracting people into our business, and then once they're there, how we go about engaging them and working with them and retaining them has just changed so dramatically. And we're really just on the cusp of some of the changes that we're starting to see the transformation of performance from being that sort of very structured 12-monthly process to being something that is about everyday engagement of people and alignment of people to the organizational goals. We're seeing the transformation of development to be a lot more socially embedded, a lot more fun, involving gamification elements to help with memory retention, etc. And there's just so much evolution that is and reinvention of how we go about working with our people coming up. That it's very exciting times, but at the same time, it can be very scary times, right? So, and I guess one of the things that we wanted to sort of put out there was, because the only certainty is this uncertainty and volatility and complexity and ambiguity, is that we need to be challenging ourselves constantly and thinking about, if we were, outside and reinventing our industry, how would it, what are some of the things that we could be reinventing? How would we be thinking about that? And constantly be thinking about how you can reinvent your HR practices and your people management practices, constantly thinking about how your industry is likely to be reinvented. And I think this is a really important factor going forward that needs to be part of the regular planning process of an organization. I think there's some examples that perhaps, Simon, you want to talk to, some what we call Kodak moments. Maybe, Simon, you could explain what a Kodak moment is.
Yeah, I'm sure you've all heard the term before, where you're an established organization. If you think about your own company or your own industry, or even your own the department in HR, and you think about what you do and what the future holds, and a little bit like Kodak company, maybe you're building some digital things, but wow, it could all change overnight. An example is a little controversial, but I pulled one up here: mobile dating apps.
Oh, it's all about people relationships, isn't it?
So,
very similar to people management.
I mean, have a look at this graph. So the green is OkCupid. I think this is US stats. Blue is Match, and the other blue is the Zoosk. So you look at the day is sort of the first week of July 2013, and you're the CEO, or you're in the HR department of one of these apps, and you're looking at, you've got 60% of the market share. The nearest competitor is less than 30. What business decisions are you going to make? How are you going to improve your market share? If you're one of the bottom two apps, how are you going to improve your business? What is the future holding for you? And in terms of the planning, and if you think about your own company, how much market share do you have? What's the next 6 months look like? What's the next 12 months look like? How certain is it? How well funded are you? How can you predict the future? And as we all know, and I'll just move to the next slide, anything can happen at any moment. So this is the release of Tinder, which is like a swipey, gamified kind of dating app that many people say is more like a game than an actual problem-solving app. People play it together.
What does that tell you about us as people?
Yeah, I know, it's a bit strange. And wow, it's gone straight up to 80%, and the others have just overnight changed. Their whole business has really dramatically changed. So what could happen in your industry? Now, the devil's in the detail here, because I'm not sure if many of you know this, but obviously the company that owns Match and OkCupid also own Tinder. So they have promoted it internally as like a skunkworks project and built it on the side, and really, worked hard to completely reinvent their own business, which is a credit to them. Not a lot of companies can really do something like that. So, and we're seeing this not just in dating apps, but Uber is taking the world by storm in a different way that people travel and commute or get around. And I'm not sure if you're following the Uber story, but a lot of people are talking now about Uber 2, which is when we get driverless cars. So they're reinventing the industry with all of these people driving the cars, and then they have to reinvent themselves and kind of change their own market. It's incredibly complex. Let's blink a few years from now, we're not going to have a wallet, we're not going to have receipts, we're not going to have credit cards, we're not even going to have cash. And this is probably going to happen faster in the emerging markets in places like Africa than anywhere in the world. So the sort of bottom line is, hang on, how prepared are you in HR? And the only main advice I can give anyone is, you don't have to prepare for what, no one knows what's coming, but be ready for change. You know, be adaptive, be nimble, and be ready to pivot on it as quick as you can.
Well, Simon, I've got the not having cash part down pat. I think that brings us to an interesting poll, which I think, in relation to reinvention and reinventing ourselves and being nimble, and it's not an easy one. And in HR, I guess terminology, what can we do? What could HR have done in that example you showed us? Probably not a lot, but it's a business thing. But the ability to be nimble and able to change is important, I think, in this day and age. The poll question is reinvention of your company or even industry something you plan or you think about? And if so, yes, it keeps us up at night, or our company reimagines the world, et cetera, et cetera. You can see the questions there, somewhat or not really, or just a little, or not at all. Now, I think reinvention, if in some companies, depending on who you ask, probably ask the CEO, they'll probably think about reinvention a lot. But jump on those polls and let's see what results we get from our group, and we'll give you the results straight away.
Certainly keeps me awake at night. I haven't slept in years.
That's why you run to work. Yes. Didn't somebody say, I really love progress, but I hate change? I think was the classic quote.
Yeah.
So those stats are coming in now. Karen, as CEO, perhaps you have a view on reinvention, or you have your longer term and shorter term thoughts.
Yeah, I think, Carl, it's something that needs to be, built in, needs to be part of what we do now in terms of our organisation and thinking about, how we track forward. You can't be at any point in time, the moment you wake up and go, hey, I've got 70% of the market sewn up, or I've got 50% of the market sewn up, we're sitting pretty as the moment that you're, potentially dead in the water because you're not seeing what's coming out of the next garage. So it's something you've got to keep challenging yourself with each day that goes by.
Yeah, agreed. Now we have the results coming in. Equally, I think, as important, our company reimagines the world as part of planning, somewhat, but not yet established within regular planning. So I think that one is probably, in my mind, probably more popular. A little, and 6% said not at all. Only 11% said it keeps me awake at night. So I guess those folks are thinking about other more important things. But Simon, what do you think about those results?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think it tells you that a large slab of people are they're somewhat, they're thinking about it, it's keeping them awake. A little, not at all, 6%. This is good.
Yeah, I mean, that poll shows that there's over 70, well over 70% there that are, very much have this at the front of their minds, which is great, because if we don't, then there may not be a tomorrow for us to keep moving forward with our organisation. So that's great. So that brings us to the end of the content, and now there's probably only a couple more minutes left, really, to answer any other questions that have come through.
Okay, I think we addressed the questions, and there seemed to be quite a few on the technology side for Simon to have to answer. Thank you very much, Simon. The questions that do come in between now and when we stop, I think we will certainly be able to address through, via our own account management process, where we can get someone to contact you and directly answer the question. So I think at this point we can probably wrap up. Karen, Simon, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time today. It was really great to, first of all, have you both able to spare an hour, 50 minutes with all of us. And I think it's been very, very helpful, interesting trends, and also understanding where PageUp is going our direction, and also how our solutions are meeting those needs. For those of us in Asia, it's the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year period coming up, and I was told by some people I had to try to say this in the local language, but it's basically, for those of you who don't know, it's a Happy New Year. For us in the Chinese world, Gong Si Fa Chai, and I know my Chinese friends will be rolling over laughing. And then for those of you in Hong Kong, Gung Hei Fat Choi. So Happy New Year for us here. For the rest, everybody who dialed in, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. We look forward to answering any further questions or any inquiries. You have the website address there, and we look forward to future interactions.
That's great.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Simon.
Pleasure.
Thanks.